Welcome to The Explainer. You know, if you've ever felt like building wealth is some kind of complicated secret, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break down a simple two-part blueprint to take you from zero to investor, and it all starts with one single crucial number.
And here it is, $10,000. Talk to any self-made millionaire and they'll tell you this is the hardest money you will ever make. But here's the thing, getting to this number isn't about luck. It's about building a skill. It's proof that you can create real value. And once you do it once, you can do it again and again and again. This is the launch pad for everything that comes next.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with how to earn that critical first $10,000 and look at the smartest ways to get there. Then, we pivot to the really fun part, making that money start to work for you. We'll get into exactly how you can make your very first investment.
All right, so part one, laying the foundation. Look, this isn't about some get-rich-quick scheme. This is about building the financial engine that's going to power your growth for years to come.
You know, so many beginners get this completely backward. They jump straight into the deep end with high-risk stuff like crypto or day trading. But that takes a ton of cash and, frankly, even more luck. Right now, your focus shouldn't be on multiplying money. It needs to be on making it, reliably. You need a business model that needs almost zero cash up front and starts putting money in your pocket fast.
So when you boil it all down, there are really just 4 core ways to start earning money from scratch. Let's break down these options and figure out which one is the fastest path to that $10,000 goal.
Okay, now what's so interesting here are the trade-offs, right? You could start an in-person service, say washing cars. The money is fast and the profits are high, but it doesn't scale. You're always limited by your own time and your location. Selling products, whether around town or around the world, well, that can scale, but it's slow to get going and your margins get eaten up by costs. But take a look at that last option. Online services. This right here is the sweet spot. You get the global reach of a product business, but with these insane 70 to 80% profit margins of a service business. And the best part? You can start getting paid from day one. It is the clear winner for speed and for profitability.
So choosing an online service, that's the what. But this skill pyramid, this is the how. It's a really simple 4-part framework for turning that skill into a serious income stream, one that can absolutely get you to that $10,000 mark and way, way beyond. First up is positioning. You want to offer services that help other businesses make more money. Why? Because they always have a budget for that. Next is leverage. This is a big one. It's about charging for the results you create, not the hours you clock in. Third, reach. This means creating content that actually makes high-value clients come find you. And finally, automation, which is really all about using systems to become unbelievably reliable. This right here, this is probably the most important mindset shift you can make. When you charge by the hour, you're an expense on a spreadsheet. And what do businesses want to do with expenses? They want to minimize them. But when you charge for the results, for the new customers, the increased sales, you become an asset. You're a profit generator. And that completely changes the conversation about what you're worth. And this might just be the biggest secret of them all. The people who get paid the most, they're not always the most talented. They're the most organized. In an industry where a crazy number of freelancers miss their deadlines, just delivering on time every single time makes you elite. Reliability is what gets you paid again and again and again. Okay, you've done it. You've built your earning engine, you've hit that $10,000 goal, so now what? Well, the game completely changes. See, the wealthy don't just earn money to spend it. They use their income to make more money. It is time to shift from being an earner to an investor. Now, before we go any further, it's so important to understand what you're actually buying. A stock isn't just a number blinking on a screen. It's a small piece of ownership in a real company. When a company wants to grow, like build new factories or launch new products, it sells these little pieces, these stocks, to raise money. And that money is called capital.
And that brings up the big question, right? Why would you even want to own a tiny piece of a company? What's the point of buying stocks in the first place?
It really just boils down to 3 really powerful reasons. First, there's capital gains. Simple, right? You buy a piece of a company when its value is low, and you sell it when the value goes up. Second, dividends. Some companies actually share a piece of their profits directly with their owners, and that's you. And third, it's a hedge against inflation. Cash that's just sitting in a bank account is actually losing its buying power over time. Investing helps protect and grow it. So, now that we know the why, let's get practical and talk about the how.
When you're ready to put your first dollars to work, there are two really common starting points, and they offer very different paths. This slide really says it all, doesn't it? A so-called high-yield savings account might get you maybe 3%. But the stock market, represented here by the S&P 500, which is just the 500 biggest U.S. companies, has historically returned an average of about 10% a year. That 7% difference, that is the engine of wealth creation.
So how do you actually capture that market return? Well, once you open an investment account, you have two main choices. You can buy an index fund. Think of it like a single investment that holds stocks in hundreds of top companies, like the S&P 500 we just talked about. It's automatically diversified, it's low maintenance, and it's great for long-term passive growth. Your other option is to pick individual stocks. Now, this is higher risk, and it definitely requires more homework, but it's an incredible way to learn by investing small amounts in companies you personally understand and really believe in.
Okay, let's bring it all together. The path from zero to investor is a pretty simple two-part plan. Part 1 is earn. Focus all of your energy on building that $10,000 foundation, ideally by selling a high-value online service. Part 2 is grow. Use that foundation to make your money start working for you through long-term investing. The ultimate goal here is to shift your entire identity from someone who just earns and spends to someone who builds and invests.
We've covered the what and the why, everything from building a skill to building an investment portfolio. The only question left is the one that only you can answer. What's your how going to be? What's the very first step you're going to take?